Hey YouTube, I just wanted to talk a little bit about a deck that I've been using for Steel Song that I've been having really good luck with. Last month I was playing a lot of the Diggy deck, like a lot of people, and I was trying this set to get more towards the full Steel Song. And I was able to kind of marry the two, and it is in a place that I'm liking quite a bit right now. So I tried it at first without Daisy Duck just because I wanted to see if there was a way to do this with a lower uninkable count, but it seems to be impossible. So Daisy Duck is probably what's driving this to be as aggressive as possible, but we can just go through the list. So Cinderella's still here. Daisy Duck is probably the most aggressive card in the deck still. Mulan, I have. This is the new Mulan, so when you play this character, you can draw a card, then choose and discard a card. This is really good because it's just like the Simba that we had before, but what's cool about this one and what I've been testing is matching it with this Mulan here. So before we didn't have a shift target, so now we do for this one. So shift 2, whenever this character quests, you may reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a song card, you may play it for free. Otherwise, put it on the top of your deck. So I did a video about this one just saying that I was going to start testing it. And in action, it actually works pretty well. What I've noticed though is against the blue decks that we're playing against the most right now, the biggest thing that you want to do is get your board as wide as possible. And playing this early in the game is usually not the way to do that. I've tried playing with Mulan 1 and then on turn 2 shift into this Mulan. And it just gets you far behind. So even if you're able to take care of a threat by singing, you are too far behind in getting as wide as possible, and you really can't catch up with a lot of these new decks, especially the blue steel decks. So what is cool about this though is you can sing. It is basically it's a singer 4 when you shift, and sometimes you can quest and you can kind of get a Hail Mary off of it. And it's really nice later in a game if, say, you need 9 lore to win the game and you have a Mulan 1 on the board. If they try and get you down to within 1, you can just shift on the next turn and win. I've had that happen a few times. Just it's kind of sneaky. The other way that you can win with this is if you don't have a song in your hand to take care of a threat, but you are just questing out with your characters, you can quest with this one and potentially get a Zeus or a Strength and take out one of their characters while gaining 2 lore. So when that happens, it can stun the opponent a little bit because you really don't see that coming, especially because you're questing. So it is a really good card. This is probably the one that I'm the most excited about actually working a little bit. But I did reduce that one to, and let me go back to my deck list here. I reduced that one down to 3, and the reason I did that is I took off the top end of this. So I'll go back to some of the lower end cards, but before we talk about it, I was using 2 Cinderellas here. I've tested with Ariel, the Ariel Shift, the 6 cost, and I've tested with a few others, but with the red decks being able to coil and ice block basically everything and then take it out with a brawl, it felt very disheartening to have a Cinderella out here, shift into it, cost 5, and then lose that character immediately. And I was starting to think that it makes a little bit more sense to be as low to the ground as possible. So what I did is I took out one of the Mulans, and then I made room. I forget what else I took out to get Piglet in here. Oh, the other 2 Cinderellas. So I took the other 2 Cinderellas, and I took the Mulan shift, one Mulan shift out to get 3 Piglets in here, basically to close out games. Because if you can, and I'll get into it again too when I get down to 0 to hero. But basically, at the end of a game, there's a possibility that you can flood the board with Piglets and a Pete, and that makes it really hard for anyone to interact with that and beat you. So to close out a game, Piglet's really good. Early in a game, it has not been very good. Ursula's in here just to have another singer. There's some lines that you'll play, like if you play Daisy Duck early, but you have songs that you want to be able to sing. Ursula's really good. I know a lot of people are using Troubadour, and I think it's a good card. I've just been using this Ursula as often as possible with Rapunzel. So Blue Steel, especially with like the Belle, they also have Smee. They might be playing Pete. Any of those that you find that are exerted. If you have all of these characters, so like Daisy Duck, Ursula, Aurora, Rapunzel, any of these characters that can take the 3 damage and then get healed by Rapunzel, it's very impactful, and a lot of times that's what ends up winning me games. So I've noticed more often than not, Ursula, maybe it'll be able to sing a Zeus, but most of the time I can kind of crash it into something like a Belle that's exerted and get the 3 damage on it and get full value out of it. Now, I know a lot of players are better than that, but it still does happen, even against good players. And again, being able to sing, if you had like Cinderella and Ursula, being able to sing with Cinderella and put maybe a Storm or even a Strength of a Raging Fire onto Ursula and then heal, it's less frustrating than if you were trying to do that with Troubadour and having the 1 resist. So I still think Ursula's better, just in this deck. I'm not saying that Ursula is better overall. I think depending on what you're doing, the Troubadour can be better. I think Mr. Smee is probably one of the best 2-drop cards in Steel. So this is still here. It's a 2 lore quester, and that was kind of one of the things that I was keeping with, is I wanted to make sure that everyone was aggressive lore-wise. So Cinderella's a 1, Mulan's a 1, but has a shift target. And then Ursula needs to sing, and then Pete is here for just because you can't take it out of the deck. Pete by himself will win you games. So other than them, everybody else is 2 or more. So Daisy Duck, Piglet can be for 3, Smee is 2, Aurora's 2 instead of the Ariel, which is only 1. The reason I like Aurora too is it also has this 1/4 stat line, so I'm getting some card draw off of Rapunzel. And then if I go down, we already talked about Milan. Prince Naveen. So I've seen people be down on Prince Naveen, and I'll tell you why I think Prince Naveen works in this deck so well. Prince Naveen is very good at catching you up or cheating out lore, or not lore, excuse me, cheating out ink in this game. So by himself, being able to sing a song when he gets put out is pretty good. You usually don't want to sing A Whole New World with his free, because then you don't get to play the follow-up with it and you're just refilling your opponent's hand. But if you're able to sing A Whole New World on the next turn, so maybe Prince Naveen with Zeus, and then if you get to keep it alive until the next turn, if it can sing Whole New World, you're usually pretty far ahead. So that's really good. I'll get into how it synergizes with Zero to Hero in a second. And then Rapunzel. It's the better I get at this, because I am newer to the game, the better I get with Rapunzel, it seems like the better chances I have to win. When I was first starting learning how to play Rapunzel and kind of all the different ways to use it, it didn't feel as impactful, and now it feels like there's no way I could take it out of the deck. So I think the better I get, the more I'm understanding why it's such an expensive card. But what I was going to say with the healing, so Aurora is really good, Ursula's really good, and Daisy Duck. Those are all really good that you can kind of bash them into the opponent's 3/3 and then heal for 3 and get full value out of it. The reason I like Aurora, and I know that there's a huge argument for Ariel. 1, I like that she's a 2 lore quester, and 2, I like her 1/4 stat, because I really don't think having 1 more strength really matters too much in the way that I'm playing this. Looking for songs, a lot of times, I'd say most of the time, I have plenty of songs. So having an Ariel, I'm not sure that it would feel as good as the Aurora does. But to be honest, I'm kind of trying to make Aurora work because I like playing with it. And it's part of the fun for me with this deck. So I think that there's an argument for Ariel. If you think Ariel's better, drop a comment and tell me why, if there's something that I'm not thinking about. But for me, it seems impactful with Rapunzel. And then also this ability that comes with it. So whenever you remove 1 or more damage from a character, ready this character. She can't quest or challenge for the rest of this turn, but she can sing. So some of the things that you can do, and sorry, Dreamborn's still messing up. Um, some of the things you can do with Aurora, and I did this in a game that I played online today, which was I sang sang Storm with a Cinderella that I had onto Aurora. So I put 2 damage onto Aurora and then drew a card. And then using Aurora, I sang Zeus, or I think it might have even been like Strength of a Raging Fire. But I sang with Aurora, played Rapunzel, healed for 2, drew 2, readied Aurora with her ability, and then sang another song. The other thing that you can do is put damage onto her and have her quest, so you still get your two lore out of questing. Then play Rapunzel, ready her, and then she can also sing that same song again too. So once she's out there and she's stuck around for a turn, there's a lot you can do pairing her up with Rapunzel. And with Rapunzel being a lot of the card draw in this deck, it feels good to have her out there when you have both. I want to talk about the songs next and how they kind of synergize with some of the characters. So there's a couple songs in here that are kind of weird. Find 'em Flatten 'em I'm still testing with. I haven't decided how I actually feel about it. There has been a couple times where I've sang it and they've picked up like 10 items. When I'm playing against like a red-blue deck that's very height or item heavy, it can kind of steal you a turn or two. But the argument that Tamatoa can just come out and get you new items along with some of the other cards that just came out, I get why this doesn't feel as impactful. But I have gotten value out of it, and it is inkable, and it is nice to have inkable cards in this deck. Um, so that's the one standout. The other is I'm only playing 3 Zeus and 3 Storm, and that again is to bring the uninkable count down. With Zeus, I do want to be able to take care of Maui or like the big Tamatoa, anything that has 5 strength, and that's why I have 2 of these World's Greatest Criminal Minds. So Zeus takes care of most things, but on the decks that are heavy with the high strength characters at the top end, it's nice to be able to get into World's Greatest Criminal Mind at the end and take one of those out immediately. So I do like this one in the deck. I have used it quite a bit. Strength is, I mean, there's a reason it's up to $20 now too, being a part of all of the decks. I mean, I don't know that there's really a reason it's up to 20, but it is a very good card and it's hard to take out and it's inkable. So I think that that's why, especially in a deck like this where you're trying to get as wide as possible, it's just too good of a card. But the card that I really want to talk about in this deck is, sorry, I just scrolled all crazy, is 0 to Hero. So count the number of characters you have in play. You pay that amount of ink less for the next character you play this turn. So this is a set 2 card. I've seen some of the better players like DeCandio, they've used the Lantern, so you get to basically cheat out one more ink per turn. What I've been having fun with this card, and I'll see if it kind of breaks this again. Yeah, I'll go back. I'll make sure I don't click on anything again unless I really have to. So the really fun thing about 0 to Hero is when you pair it with Prince Naveen and you pair it with A Whole New World. It feels like I've won games when this plays out, and I've actually had this play out with kind of the perfect curve off of the start, and it was awesome. And really what that one was, so this is the exception to the rule, but I'll say that this is kind of the potential of it. I had a Cinderella, I think I actually had 2 Cinderellas out, and a Mulan, let's say. But there were 3 characters I had out, and Cinderella was 2 of them. On turn 3, I inked, and then I used a Cinderella to sing 0 to Hero. So the next character I played was 3 less, because I had 3 characters out. So Prince Naveen cost 1, and I still had 2 ink left over, and I paired Prince Naveen with Whole New World. So I went 1-drop character, 2 1-drop characters, and then on turn 3 I had Prince Naveen, Whole New World, so I refilled my hand. I inked on that turn already, So I really refilled my hand. And then I still had 2 ink to play, and I was able to get out, I believe it was a Mr. Smee. So on after turn 3, I had 2 Cinderellas, Milan, Mr. Smee, and Prince Naveen, and a full hand. When something like that happens, you really are in control, and it's kind of hard to lose. So that's kind of the coolest that it can get. Where I notice that it actually does play out fairly often, though, is when you have a singer 5 or more out on the board and you're about to sing to start your turn. If you're in that position, especially with this deck because of how many 1-drop and 2-cost characters there are, if you get to that point, you can sing Zero to Hero with one of your smaller characters. And I mean, even Piglet can sing it because it's a 2-cost card. Piglet can sing it. It's not the best use of his lore, but he can sing, or Mr. Smee, they can sing Zero to Hero. And then a lot of times you're getting, 3, sometimes 4 uh, towards your next character for free. Sing Whole New World with Prince Naveen, and now you have 7 new cards, and you have 3 or 4 that you can spend for free, plus your other 4 ink. So it turns a hand into maybe another Prince Naveen, or you're playing like an Aurora, Rapunzel even. If you have a character out there that's damaged, you can add more cards to your hand. Play like a Rapunzel, and then you still have 3 or 4 ink to play on that turn, and you can use some of these lower cost cards and get a Piglet and 2 Daisy Ducks out. Something like that is really hard to recover from when you're doing it on maybe the 5th turn of the game, and they don't have a way of handling all of that yet with Be Prepared. Or after that, you play a Pete and you play like a Daisy Duck. So that interaction there is where I've found the most luck with this and where it's the most fun. I see the argument for Lantern. It is nice to get a little ahead on every turn, but a lot of times what I run into is I'll have extra ink, right? Like my hand, because I'm kind of spewing it out as fast as possible, sometimes I won't have the correct number of ink and cards to play them efficiently and get use out of the Lantern. What I have noticed with Zero to Hero is a lot of times, if I'm able to sing this right before a Whole New World, I'm getting all of the value out of it. So that's the deck. Overall, I've been having a lot of luck with this. And I think this edition, this is something I just added, so I haven't gotten to play with it too much. But I think this addition of Piglet for closing out games along with Pete is something that makes this feel a lot more like the Diggy deck felt, where you're able to rush underneath basically everything. It does have removal still, so you're still able to sing Storm. It's not as effective anymore with Bell. Trying to sing a Storm onto Bell just doesn't make any sense. So a lot of times what I'm trying to do is just get as wide as physically possible. Get Zero to Hero and Whole New World together if I can, and just flood the board after that turn. But that's it for the deck. If you have any questions, let me know. Any comments, or if there's anything that you're thinking either works or doesn't work in this deck, let me know. But again, I've been calling this one, it's Aggro New World, but I've been calling it Aggro New World. Just to play on basically the aggro deck, but with a whole new world. It's been so fun to play that way. You do still get jammed up without getting card draw, which is why you really need to make use of Rapunzel. And I think that this Prince Naveen, along with the Zero to Hero, the synergy between these two is why I would never take any of these Prince Naveens out. I think it's too good of a card. So let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Bye.